a notch higher, and this time come right to studio and discuss the labor equation here in Kenya. And to talk to us about some of that, we have an economic analyst. His name is Ndindi Nyoro. He's, of course, a man who has worn several hats in the past, having been a stockbroker at Investax Capital, and, of course, one of the experts that can take this conversation forward for us. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Well, of course, first off, congratulations on the win for the Jubilee Party ticket in Kiharu, is it?
Thank you very much. Yeah, Kiharu constituency.
Yeah, talk to us a bit about that situation. It must have been tough.
I must say, the last time I was in this studio,
yes,
I think was around 2 or so months ago.
Yes.
I'm sure I was bigger than this, slightly.
Yes.
Because campaigns are tough. There's no stress as such, but of course you don't even get time to eat because you have so many meetings to attend every day, and even to get time to bite some lunch is a problem. But again, it's a very good learning process. You get very much refined in terms of social skills and in terms of dealing with people. And I have to say that I'm very grateful to the people of Kiharu because they did not just elect me, but they did it overwhelmingly. We had around 28,000 votes.
Wow.
The second person had to be around 12,000. Therefore, I say a lot of thank you to the people of Kiharu and, of course, to God, because there is no way I could have reached here without His grace. And yeah.
Well, you've seen the conversation around Uhuru Park, and being a young person, a young Kenyan, you know a lot of the problems that young people are facing today. First off course, is the issue around the lack of jobs.
Yeah.
Secondly is the quality of employment, because you might have a job, but it only utilizes your physique.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course doesn't give you much in terms of a return.
Yeah.
And this country has very large aspirations.
True.
And from where you sit, with the opportunity now to go forward into legislation, into parliament, you sit at a place where you might be able to influence this in a positive way.
Yeah, true. There is a huge problem in Kenya, especially somebody who's been in touch with the ground.
Yes.
Like maybe the way we've been out there looking for votes. That's where you get the reality of the matter. That there are so many guys in Kenya, especially young people, who are not employed, they don't have a job. But there is also a major problem of underemployment.
Yes.
Where you get a guy, maybe somebody with a master's degree, but the kind of job they're doing, it only requires physical energy, not much of the skill they learned in school.
Yes.
But I have to say, this is a problem that it cannot just be left to the government to tackle.
Definitely.
Even the attitude we have, especially as young people, we should do something. For example, most of the people who go to schools, universities, we graduate, of course, longing to get jobs in very big companies, without realizing that these companies that are so big, they are once small, but even more importantly, they were actually started by people like us. Therefore, I encourage the young people, and even the registration-wise, that we focus more, not on in terms of looking at how many jobs were created, and especially in public sector, but we go towards how many businesses were created, what is the export in terms of from those businesses, because that is the kind of a conversation that will take our economy forward.
Let's talk a bit about some of the things that can be done, because as you're saying, some of these are really bread and butter issues. Since the year 2000, maybe 2003, we have been laying the foundation for a lot of the things we've been talking about to crystallize this growth. We've started to put in place infrastructure. We're starting to see Kenya having indeed excess energy, saying that we might have to slow down in creation of energy because the uptake for industries is not as much as we had hoped. We've seen the laying of the fiber optic cables. We've seen the penetration of the internet communication, even to the rural, really rural places where you wouldn't even have imagined it 10 years ago.
True.
So the thinking has to change.
Exactly.
So where do we start? Because these people then should be able to literally talk to the world from whatever corner of Kenya and be able to make money.
Peter, I must say that I enjoy this discussion because it's the kind of thing that I like. If you look at a country like Singapore, the way it grew from where it was, especially where we were at par. Look at even Dubai, even minus oil, because currently it accounts for too little. Infrastructure is very important. Because any investor out there, and I'm saying this because most of us, for example, as Kenyans, we focus more on especially getting jobs in the public sector. Without realizing that the public sector is actually not the best paying, even statistics-wise. It is the private sector that actually pays better and is more flexible. But again, how do we widen this private sector? First of all, the government's work is not to give jobs. It is to be the enabler. And as you have rightly put it, we have been in the right path, especially the Jubilee government. We've put a lot of resources in doing what we should.
Yes.
Because an investor out there looking at a place to set up base in Africa, they have many things they consider. And of course, number one is transportation, which is roads and rail and airports. They go to number two, which is power. That is reliability and, of course, accessibility. There are many other parameters, even like human resource.
Yes.
If you look at Kenya, we're at a very good path. Look at electricity. As we talk now, the Jubilee government has put electricity in every primary school in Kenya, not even a single one yenye haina stima.
Although, of course, that is still debatable, but those are semantics. We can get into that debate
Exactly.
another time.
But
Yes.
the whole picture is about power.
Yes.
Power generation has gone up and penetration has gone up. So every investor now looking at a base in Africa, Kenya becomes very attractive.
Yes.
And then, how does this trickle down to the common mwananchi who is jobless currently?
Yes.
When these companies come, of course, they employ into thousands, not even into tens. And when they employ into thousands,
Yes.
of course, they do much more than any county government, any government in terms of national government, or even a combination of all can do.
Yes.
Therefore, I believe the problem of unemployment and underemployment will be solved when we strengthen the basis which attracts the private sector within Kenya and actually makes those who are there already, the current players, grow into bounds in terms of looking at creating products, not just for local consumption,
Yes.
but even for beyond.
Yes, I want to talk to you now as a thought leader,
Yeah.
especially because a lot of young men in Kiharu will be looking up to you.
Yeah.
The fact that I am a person who's been across a lot of this country,
Yeah.
and some of the things we're talking about are really simple. Simple example, a bucket of potatoes
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
not in Nairobi, in Laikipia, is 1,000 shillings. In Nairobi, it's much more expensive.
Exactly.
For a young person who had planted tomatoes, capsicums, you name
Exactly.
it, whatever sort of vegetable,
Yeah.
with just a bit of water during this drought season, is literally in the millions right now. So how come a lot of our youth are not taking these opportunities and saying that I might just capitalize on something like that? They're content to sit back and maybe complain or stick to just rain-fed agriculture rather than starting to invest a bit of muscle, brain, and technology.
I concur. Maybe there is a...
And this is knowing that Kiharu and that part of Murang'a is one of the places where this is actually happening.
There is a part of, in terms of the attitude,
Yes.
Any trendy Kenyan, and most of the young people are, of course, want to be trendy.
Yes.
You look at farming like a dirty kind of career. But on the contrary, again, of course, there are many guys, even young people, who are farming.
Yes.
On the contrary, most of the land in Kenya, including Kiharu, where I come from, we actually look up to the rain in terms of farming.
Yes.
But my thought is actually beyond farming and the raw products.
Yes.
Because most times we have actually enough.
Yes.
If it's about sweet potatoes.
So I want to stop you right there because of something you've said,
Okay.
and guide the conversation in two ways.
Okay.
First, the average age of a Kenyan farmer is 65 years. So we actually did the research, and the youth say that they want to either get into mechanized agriculture or value addition, which is where you are going.
Yeah, I was headed
So
there.
how do we drive these two things? First, mechanization and value addition, so that the youth can then start to come in.
Mechanization can go into two ways.
Yes.
One is, of course, government in terms of providing water.
Yes.
If I go back to where I come from, which I think is a representation of all the 290 constituencies, there is only one ward, which is partly provided by irrigation water.
Yes.
And I'm definitely sure that is a good representation of the access of irrigation water in Kenya. But on the other side, there is mechanization that only the government can do.
Yes.
Remember, water projects, especially when it comes to piped water projects, is extremely capital intensive, and only the national government can do. Not even CDF can be able to do that.
Yes.
Very few county governments can actually do much in terms of funding that.
Again, I want to, sorry, just to cut in right there, because looking at what the governor, and this is not kumpigia debe, has been able to do in the recent past, where a lot of Murang'a is actually quite dry.
Yeah, true.
But we now have a dairy cow project going on in a lot of those places.
Yeah.
So we've seen the introduction through dairies
now
of milking machines, that is mechanization. We've seen chaff cutters, so people are actually not having to cut a dhara with their hands, as it has been the case before. And a lot of youth actually starting to come into a pyramid situation where you get involved and are connected so well that you're actually now lobbying at national level because you're part of this whole movement of young people that is driving a conversation?
In fact, you have put my second point very well.
Yes.
Because the first point is where capital is needed.
Yes.
And not an individual can do.
Yes.
Because there are very few individuals who can be able to tap water from, let's say, Dakaine or wherever other place
yes.
to their farms. But again, now there is the other micro part.
Yes.
The macro part is provision of huge water projects.
Yes.
But the micro part, I have to say, that there has been a lot of opportunities created by the Jubilee government.
Yes.
That is the truth of the matter. Because if you are a young farmer out there, you are trying to farm any kind of thing, and the only thing you need is some few maybe necessities to buy.
Yes.
There are so many opportunities. For example, to talk on behalf of the seat I was seeking,
yes.
To be the MP for Kiharu, there is a fund called Uwezo Fund,
yes.
which is actually under the MP. The only thing that the youth need to do is to come together.
Yes.
If you need any kind of machine, you come and borrow money from Uwezo Fund. Then you are given at 0 interest rate. You go procure the machine, you go farm. After you sell your product, you return money at no cost, and then we give to others.
Yes.
But also on the other point you brought up, after doing all this much, it would be extremely unfair for guys who are young to work so hard. After working so hard, then they become the recipients of the slightest margins
yes.
in the whole chain. And the slightest margin comes in when we allow people to actually farm sweet potatoes, doma or any other thing,
yes.
and then sell it raw.
Yes.
We need to focus in terms of, if you are farming the whole macroeconomically, if, for example, you are farming 10,000 kilograms of sweet potatoes, we should never consume more than half of that
yes.
raw. We should look at how we can be able to add value.
Yes.
And I'll give you an example. I have ventured into I had a small business
yes.
called Sahara Capital,
yes.
which was a venture capital,
yes.
where young guys used to come with ideas. I still do, only that I was caught up in campaigns for the last 3 months.
Yes.
You come up with ideas, I listen to them, and then I fund.
Yes.
Fortunately, I got some 2 guys who were actually from Kiharu with an idea which was very brilliant about manufacturing yogurt.
Yes.
And I came to learn and open my eyes in a very major manner because Peter, a liter of milk,
yes.
raw, where you can sell at the best price, utauza 40 bob.
40, yes.
Huko mashinani.
Yes.
Selling at 40 bob, I will shock you. You can actually manufacture yogurt
yes.
with 0 machine. You can actually do it at cottage level, at home.
Yes. Yes.
And doing it at cottage level, you only need, of course, to be legal. Yes. You go to data board and get all the other certification. But then after adding all that value, which is too little in terms of labor and in terms of what you put in terms of ingredients, the 40 bob
yes.
shoots to around 120, selling at wholesale price.
Wow.
And the ingredients you put in there, they cannot cost you more than 30 shillings. Therefore, the whole equation puts up 70 shillings. And then, even the demand side of it, you can not actually satisfy the demand of yogurt in Kenya. All I'm trying to say is this.
Yes.
Whatever kind of thing we farm
the
in our farms,
opportunities are there.
adding value, you actually become the recipient of the highest margins in
yes.
the chain.
Yes.
Therefore, I encourage any young person, yes, farming is very important, but even beyond farming,
yes.
let us look at how we can maximize on profits. Because farming is a business.
Yes.
You are not there to feed Kenyans.
Yes.
You are there to earn money. Therefore, make sure you strategize and put yourself at such a strategic point where you actually gain
yes.
optimally from that.
Because we have to go very quickly, my last question to you is there are lots of youth around all parts of the country. And just to mention, of course, that there are also zero interest loans that are being offered by foundations such as KCB
True.
to uplift, some of the initiatives that the youth have done, yes. But aside from that, I have been to places like Sagana,
yeah.
where there are young men by the side of the road with the fish.
Yeah.
And I was shocked to find these guys have huge catch.
Turnovers.
Yes, really big. They're selling quite a lot. But they have nothing in the terms of things like coolers and that sort of thing. They're dealing with buckets of water. And so I was asking them, no one has seen the potential of literally just arming you guys with a freezer or a bit of mechanization to really help your business or even organize you in a cooperative just to move things along. They've been doing this for years and literally nothing.
Some of the blame has to go to the leadership.
Yes.
But again, the responsibility of every Kenyan
yes.
lies on them, especially when you are a businessman. You are there to make money.
Yes.
The government can only do too much.
Yes.
If the government has brought up a road there, That's why you're actually studying on the roadside, because there are people passing by.
Yes.
That, I think, is enough. To my understanding.
Yes.
The most they need to do now, especially those used around Sagana, because it's a place that I know, the onus is on them.
Yes.
Let them come up with a cooperative society. They can register a SACCO, they can register a self-help.
Yes.
Then that is the basis to seek help anywhere. But even when you are seeking for help, remember you're also in business.
Yes.
If you have a freezer, it of course makes your business a bit easier.
Yes.
But even to cascade the whole that point even to where I come from, in any other place in Kenya.
Yes.
I have seen this work very well.
Yes.
Youth and women, especially in Murang'a, and specifically in Kiharu, and in so many other places in Kenya, we've seen even Her Excellency Rachel Ruto encouraging Kenyans to do that.
Yes.
Coming together, of course, brings a lot of energy and brings a lot of synergy.
Okay.
Coming together, putting up the resources together so that we can be able to do capital-intensive ventures.
Yes.
And that point is the same that we get from so many local people.
Yes.
For example, you're a contractor doing or roads. There is only too much you can do alone. Instead of them coming together, we see that when, for example, the government advertises tenders for huge projects, only the international bidders can manage to actually qualify for those kind of projects. Because the culture of coming together in Kenya so that we create a huge conglomerate which can actually be able to maximize on the local projects and beyond, that is a thing we also need to keep changing every single day.
Well, it has been a very interesting discussion and one that we can take on for hours. My hope is that we can have you again in studio, because I think the youth need to hear a lot of the things that we are saying, because some of them just take just a simple change of heart or change of mind and a bit of initiative as well. It has indeed been a pleasure having you, Ndindi Nyoro, economic analyst and Jubilee aspirant for the Kiharu seat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming.
I'll be back.
Yeah, asante sana.
Asante sana.
Well, viewers, we now want to go on a short break just to, well, take a breath or two. But when we come back, just a quick look at other, well, stories making business headlines here on KTN Business Today. So do stay with us.